I'll give you an example of what I mean by this. When we were all young, so we all fell in love with some girl. And whether you had a crush and didn't have the guts to actually be in the relationship, or you actually were in a teenage relationship, 16, 15, 14, whatever it was, and you gave your precious heart that had only been in the hands of your loving parents or your loving siblings or in relatives, and you actually placed it in some girl's hand. And what did she do? First of all, what was that feeling? It was the greatest feeling you've ever had. Think about it. Imagine if you can recall a feeling like that, where you gave your heart for the first time to someone and you thought it was the greatest, incredible feeling. Only 3 of you? Be honest. Raise your hand if you ever had that feeling. Okay? And you might have just had a crush, but there was this intoxicating feeling in the situation. Listen what happened. So what happens when you hand something precious to a 14-year-old or a 15-year-old or a 16-year-old?
She hooks up with your best friend.
Right. Something happens, and what she does is she takes your precious heart and she squeezes the blood out of it. Because she's only 14 or she's only 16. She doesn't know how to care for that. If you had a diamond, what's more precious, a heart or a diamond?
How big is the diamond?
The heart is much more precious. The diamond, you can stomp on it, it won't get even scratched probably. But the heart is your most important organ, meaning your emotions. And what happens is, you don't hand a diamond to a 14-year-old, yet you handed your heart to the 14 or the 16-year-old or the 17-year-old or the 12-year-old, I don't know how old you were. And when they squeezed, you felt the deepest pain you've ever felt. Maybe only matched by your birth when you were separated from your mother, which you weren't even cognizant of. But you felt the deepest pain you ever felt in your life. Raise your hand if you felt that pain before. Same people probably. Same people. And you know what you said to yourself? By the way, do human beings like having negative emotion? No. Right? We supply the whole drug and alcohol world based on our negative emotions. So human beings don't like hanging around with negative emotions. So you know what we did? We said the following words. You may not remember it, but I promise you said it. Whether you said it verbally or you said it in your heart, you said, I will never love again. And unfortunately, you were being serious. And if you think about it, I don't care how good a relationship you've had since then, you never let yourself go like that. You never let your heart go fully into it. And you probably are thinking that, well, marriage will be different. If anything, marriage is even more disappointing because now I'm married and I still can't do it. And that's the biggest complaint I get. I counsel a lot of couples. Counsel many, many couples. The biggest complaint I get is, it's either him saying, she doesn't give me her whole heart. Or it's her complaining. He stays at work so late and he could have easily been home at 6, but he comes home at like 9. He doesn't give me his whole heart. By the way, this is all the foundation of workaholism. Not wanting to deal with the engagement, the intimacy, because of this pain that we're afraid of. And this is what leads to this stuff, is because as soon as it starts getting good, I got to pull away. Get away from that. And she's doing the same thing. You guys will be married one day and you'll experience this. I bless you not to. I bless you to work it through. I have ways of how to get through this. But you'll be married one day and you'll see that your wife's having trouble giving herself totally and trusting totally and all that stuff. You know what you're going to want to do? You're going to want to shoot through her throat somehow, go through time into a time capsule. And you'd want to go to every guy that ever broke her heart or slept with her or anything, and you want to just go like this. I married this woman, and she still can't give her heart to me. She still doesn't trust. And she's going to want to do the same thing to you. She'll want to do the same thing. So every time that we go back into the pattern of the counterfeit of that love, which can often be just casual sexual relationships, which is, you realize that that's chasing the counterfeit of that feeling? It's like trying to get the feeling without actually going into the vulnerability of the feeling, because remember how vulnerable it was? So we're going for the counterfeit of the feeling without actually going into the feeling. But every time we do that, it's just another brick in the wall. All in all, it's just another brick in the wall of marriage and children and trying to relate and be someone who relates fully to their spouse, which creates normality and solidity for raising, it creates a fertile bed for raising children who are healthy. Now, it was never like this in history. You ready for this? Throughout history, Jews and Gentiles, I'm not preaching here, there's Jews and Gentiles, you were not done as a parent until you married your kid off. Which wasn't that old, it was probably 14, 15. You marry a kid off probably around 14 or 15 throughout history. And you marry you're not done. Certainly a 14-year-old kid's not going to marry himself off, so you marry your kid off. And today in my community, for example, we marry the boys we marry at 17 and 18, or 18 and 19, between 17 and 19, and the boys are married between 19 and 20. In my whole community, I have a massive community, in my whole community, there is no single man over the age of 21. Or 21 and up, basically. 21 maybe. 22 maybe an individual. And the same with women. Because we hand their whole heart, their innocent and pure whole heart, over in marriage to someone that we have carefully investigated. And believe me, after raising a child with everything you put into it financially, emotionally, educationally, you're going to be very careful who you hand that kid to. You guys are too developed already for that. You have to marry yourselves off, because no one's going to, your parents just don't get you anymore.
You're not going to help out. Your
parents don't get you anymore. You know what I'm saying? Had they married you out when you were 14, they would have done an amazing job and probably a better job than you're probably going to do. But at this point, you're too developed to be married off. You have to basically go through the gauntlet to get yourselves married, which is, there's guides. I guide people all the time in this. You have to be guided. No one can marry them. In the old days, people used to be able to marry themselves off. Today, it's impossible. It's so hard. That's why you'll meet people in their 40s and 50s who still haven't gotten married in massive quantities. Manhattan, you kidding? Tel Aviv. You know what the single scene is like? There's people in there. It starts in the 20s and it basically never ends. Very few people. When's the last time you guys went to a wedding?
Last summer.
How many weddings you go to a year? How many weddings you go to a year?
Always different. Recently 5, and 2 years ago 20.
Yeah, wow. Oh, you hang out with observant people? Oh.
No, mixed crowd.
Yeah, but that's the wrong guy. Who doesn't hang out with observant people at all? Okay. Josie, how many weddings you went to last year? How many weddings you went to last year?
Actually, last year was crazy. It was 5 weddings.
5 weddings.
We're at that age.
You want to know something?
It's that age.
You want to know something? In my community, this week, Sunday through Thursday, there are something like 25 weddings.
That's pretty serious.
This week, something like 25 weddings. It's a lot of broken glass.
Must be pretty hungover all week.
Yeah. Well, it's just, what you do is you just go to this one's chuppah, you go to this one's dancing, you go to this one's meal. You just keep moving and moving and moving and moving. That's why when you have a wedding here, you have the most random people at your dinner. At the actual meal time, because it all depends where they're holding in their, they're trying to spend at least possible on cabs to get from wedding to wedding. So just whenever they wound up at your part of the meal, your part of the wedding is who you feed. I guess you could save money that way. Just be at like the end, be on the other side of Jerusalem. So by the time they got to your wedding, it would be like it's 11 at night. You just give them a snack or something. So anyway, also, by the way, all weddings in Jerusalem are open.